so much for being here, and we really owe the Ebell such a gratitude for screening this for us today. This beautiful, beautiful theater. So my name is Sherry Purcell. I'm the president and PEO of the Immaculate Heart Community. And, thank you. I really want to start by giving you 3 fun facts about things that have happened since that era. So the first fun fact is that the community formed in 1970, the Immaculate Heart Community, is still alive and kicking today. We call ourselves a community without walls. Ours is an intentional, inclusive, international community. We are women and men of faith. We are married, single, gay, straight. We accept new members annually. And our justice and social justice work keeps us relevant and engaged, and we're still getting into that good trouble today. So, if you haven't done so already, please check out the materials in the lobby, get on our mailing list, and we invite you to become a friend of our hearts. Fun fact number 2, in our community today, we still have 38 of the women who were part of that original rebel group. Yes. They're in their 80s and 90s, but most continue to be very engaged and vital. And their wisdom and love graces our work and serves as a source of inspiration for everything that we do. And fun fact number 3, when Corita Kent died, she donated her artwork to the Immaculate Heart Community. We established the Corita Art Center, which recently became an affiliate with its own 501c3. And if you don't know, they have a gallery on Traction Avenue in the LA Arts District, so check them out and go visit. And as a reminder that good and righteousness does eventually prevail, a couple of years ago, under Pope Francis, the Corita Art Center was invited to be part of the Venice Biennale in Italy. Yes, Corita's work was exhibited in the Vatican Pavilion, including the piece called "Mary is the Juiciest Tomato on Earth." So you can probably imagine that when all this was happening, I had this vision of Corita dancing in heaven and Cardinal McIntyre kind of turning over in his grave. So now it's my pleasure to introduce the panel that will be speaking. Dr. Stacy Brightman, who's the CEO of the Ebell, will be acting as the moderator. Lenore Dowling, an IHC member and one of the original canonical members, is here. You saw her in the opening scene in the film and throughout the film. If there's a protest or a demonstration going on for human rights today in Los Angeles, Lenore is probably there, and she's a frequent contributor to the letters to the editor of the LA Times. We also have Rosa Manriquez, who is an IHC member, and in the film she gives her perspective from a student during those times. Rosa is also an activist, and for the last year and a half, she has led a group of people called the Godmothers of the Disappeared on the steps of the Federal Building in Los Angeles. Every Tuesday at noon, they stand in solidarity with the immigrants and refugees who ICE is processing there. And we're also delighted to have Pedro Kos, who directed, wrote, and edited Rebel Hearts, and Kira Carstensen, who was the producer. Their work was just a truly labor of love It's been a great gift to our community today in helping us tell the story of the importance of resistance and holding integrity in the face of seemingly insurmountable odds. So with that, I'd like the panel to come out, and again, thank you for being here today. I'm going to turn it over to Stacy. Let's give them a round of applause. Did you enjoy the film? Yes.
I'm a little shy to be on this stage with these incredible artists and leaders and women of faith. Before we get started, again, I want to honor and thank Pam and Sherry and the Immaculate Heart community for making it possible for us all to see the documentary again today in this incredible environment. Do we have, you know what, let's recognize who's in the audience too. Please stand up and maybe we can turn the lights on so we can see you. And are you a member of the Immaculate Heart community and you're here with us? Would you please stand? Yes, oh my gosh. And keep standing if you can. How many of you are alum of Immaculate Heart High School or college, if you would stand? Yes. It's wonderful to see you all here today.
Could I ask that you also recognize Queen of Angels
High School. Stand up, Queen of Angels. Yes. All right. And Rosa, inspired by you, if you were also in any way taught by an Immaculate Heart sister or community member. Did we miss you? Yes, welcome. Welcome. You too. Well, we are here in community. I have some questions, but we're going to take about maybe 10 or 15 minutes to have a conversation here, but then we want to open it up to the audience as well. We would love to hear some questions. So, first of all, and I throw this to everybody, Kira, Pedro, Lenore, Rosa, can you tell us a little bit about how did you discover this story and the inception of the documentary? How did it come to you? How did it start?
25 years ago, Shani Isaac Smith, filmmaker, came to our office because a friend of hers, former IHM, Lorene DeRocco, told her our story. And she thought, well, that's an interesting story. I'd like to make a film about it. So from that day on, Shani Isaac Smith, accompanied by Lorene, followed our trail. She went up to Montecito while we were on retreat. She interviewed Anita Caspery, more than 10 hours. She interviewed Pat Reef, all the individuals you saw on the film. Shani spent hours and hours in homes with Dorothy Dunn, following Anita, going to our meetings, going to our retreats. She was so impressed by our community and our works. She wanted to tell our story. That's a filmmaker's role, to tell a story. And so with that initial beginning, Shani began interviewing all of the featured players. And then Pedro got involved at Shani's invitation to carry on the work, participate and carry on the work. And he brought it to completion with a brilliant team, as you saw. I've seen it several times and it's always enlivening and inspiring, even though I'm in it. So we're forever grateful to Pedro, Shawnee, and their team for bringing us to life and keeping our story alive. Thank you.
And first of all, thank you everyone for being here today. And I'm forever grateful to the Immaculate Heart community, to you, Lenore, to you, Rosa, to everyone and also to Kira, because the way I found out about and discovered this incredible story was through my dear friend and collaborator, Kira, who met and knew Shawnee, and then, well, how did you hear about it?
Well, a mutual friend of mine in Shawnee's, and I'd known Shawnee for many, many years, but not very well, told me about this incredible story and said, you have to see, this footage she's got and that she's put together. And at the time, it was really just a string out, like a long edit of a bunch of interviews. And it was a few hours long. And even then, there was nothing else cut into it. It was just talking head after talking head, interview after interview. And I was just enthralled with their stories and their spirit and their fight for justice. And you could see that passion burning in them. And I thought it was something that we really needed today. These lessons that these, women have taught us, and what their struggle that they went through is very similar to what a lot of us are going through now. And Pedro, of course, being such an incredible filmmaker, director, editor, it needed someone like him who is also a person of deep faith. He's a Catholic. He understands, the dynamics and the struggle and the power struggle. And so I thought he would be a perfect person to bring on, because it needed someone who had that, sensitivity and talent to bring it all together.
So you just made a comment about, clarify, when did the filming start? When were those interviews first being captured?
All right, so Shawnee really began those interviews about I think in the late 1990s. So that was, Shawnee really started quite a long time. Yeah, and got to meet, not only Lenore, but the entire community then, and really interviewed Anita, interviewed Pat Reeve, Helen Kelly, and, really did, such a extraordinary work gathering all everyone's stories, and so that began back then. When Kira and I came on board, Kira was around 2014, and then really kind of piecing together, we, nowadays documentary filmmaking, it's you need to love what the stories that you want to tell. You need to really fall in love with the stories that you're telling, because sometimes it takes a really long time. We put together a trailer, a sizzle reel, to try to get some initial round of financing, and it was many years, but
it's brick by brick. It really is, and much like I would imagine the building of the community. It's you can't see the end. When you start, you're I just need to figure out the next right step. What do I do next? And then hope that the next step will then appear or manifest. And it was an act of faith at those early stages for all of us. It was piece by piece, but It took some time, but it came together, I think, at the right time, and with the right people.
And it continues to be so current. And I think one of the really special things about making this film and getting to know the community was also really diving into the archives and finding old gems that that we call them gems, that are pieces of materials from back in the day, from the time that you were starting to make the changes. Getting to know Korea's art, and being at the Korea Art Center with you. Remember, we went there a few times, and just going through all the artworks and hearing stories, and really kind of have the process of falling in love, with this community.
I want to build on what you just said and draw Rosa and Lenore here too, especially because the arc of the documentary was so long, as you said, from the late 90s. How did, seeing that, it's not many of us that can see our lives up there. How does this story resonate? What was your response to going back and revisiting this story? Or what do you think it means now to you versus maybe even from when it was happening or in that middle years of the 90s? I mean, it's the fact that it started more than 25 years ago that this project began.
For myself, and I think I might be able to speak for some of my friends from Queen of Angels, it's kind of painful. Because for us, it was the closing of our school. And for young women and teenagers, that's traumatic. And we had been promised that our school was not going to close. And it was a terrible shock for me personally to realize at that young age when we were told, oh no, we're just incorporating it with Bishop Conity, that this institution I had trusted for so long was capable of lying and manipulating and targeting us. And as I got older, and even when I'm seeing it, and it's hard not to cry, but I'm not crying. I'm letting my stomach get knotted up. And I have my best friend who cries for me. During these years, seeing what's happening right now in our country, in our world, what I see there is a major manipulation. And how do you dismantle what women create? You address, you take apart that one place where there are young women being educated in a community that included Black, Asian, white, Latina women from low income and middle income being educated and prepared to go to college. Shut that one down first. And not only that, there is no building left. It's a parking lot now in Chinatown. And it's a message. This is what happens when you try to educate women.
Lenore, well, what about the title? Talk to us about the title too.
What resonates is resistance and rebellion, and it's so relevant today. We need to resist authoritarianism, dominance, injustice. We see it daily in so many areas of our life, but starting at the top. So it's incumbent on all of us to name the injustice, to use our voices to call it out by joining marches and protests, writing letters, making calls to Congress. We will not tolerate this authoritarianism to keep destroying lives, and we should be working for justice, whereas we're being dominated by injustice in this administration. So our community and so many colleagues work for immigrants, for families, from working to point out the injustice in the systems that oppress people, in incarceration, in war, in dominance of women, in violence. So I think we're all in this together, united in rebelling against the injustice that's so prevalent in our world today, especially at the top.
I just wanted to say one thing about Lenore very quickly, is that The first thing I said when I saw her was, "Have you been out protesting?" She goes, "Of course." So every single, there's no quit, right? You cannot stop, and it's exhausting. And sometimes I want to quit. And then I remember Lenore and Rosa, and I remember all those women who didn't quit, and the fight goes on, and it has to go on. We have to stand up for what we believe in. Sorry.
Along with what Lenore is saying, and what I was taught by the sisters, I mentioned some of it up there, and I guess I'm still trying to live it out. It's funny, at a gathering at Dolores Mission, another wonderful place where Greg Boyle is at, my grandchildren went to school there, one's at Immaculate Heart, one's going to Loyola now, and I said, they asked, what fruit do you like at a icebreaker? And I was trying to be honest, and I thought, okay, I'll tell you the truth at this icebreaker, la manzana de la discordia. And if you know Spanish, that means the apple of discord, the one Adam and Eve got. I used to be called that as a child. The sisters and the teachers to me taught me question authority, learn logic, learn comprehension, learn critical thinking, look at history, take things apart, don't take them at face value. And what our community does now, it's not roll over and die. We're looking at what can we do next. So we address everything with first we pray, then we get educated and we learn what we can about what's going on, and then we act. Those three things have to happen. And we have commissions. There's not that many of us, but somehow we're making the commissions work. And one is anti-racism and a spiritual transformation. And that's not just learning about racism, that means learning where is it inside of me? And how can I change that? Because it's inside of us. It's like the air we breathe. The other is the Commission on Immigrants, Refugees, and Indigenous People, right? Okay, Commission on Justice for Women, Commission on Communities for the Unhoused, I hope I got that right, and also Commission on the Environment. And with what happened in Boyle Heights, I live in Boyle Heights, East LA. At this point, yes, Manzana de la Discordia is bugging the mayor and the supervisor to create a legislative commission on environmental justice and racism, because all of that keeps happening wherever there are people of color in our county.
There's an idea in resistance, in rebellion hearts, that there are people who bring fire and there are people who bring light. That it takes all of us to do that, and the person who brings fire is maybe the person who puts their body on the line, as was being described. And there's also the people who hand you the water bottle and find you a place to sleep when you're putting your body on the line. Or maybe they're making art, and the role that art can play in rebellion and resistance. Can you talk a little bit about that? I mean, of course, we had a genius with Carita, but the role of art, it's plays in resistance and rebellion, and even this film is a form of art, reminding us to stay strong, to take heart. Can you talk or speak to that for a few moments?
Yeah, art comes from the heart, and I learned so much living with and teaching with Carita, who gave, as filmmakers do, expressions through their art, whether it's film, photography, painting, serigraph, who give expressions to their experience, their cry against injustice and pleading for justice, for mercy, for love, for compassion. So I learned through our art, through Corrida and our art department, and through filmmakers, and I went to film school, how powerful photography and film are for influencing not just our heads, but our hearts. So we have to change hearts in the current environment. It isn't enough just for analysis and heady explanation. We have to change hearts and tell the stories of people who are suffering, people who are at the mercy of those who are unjust. So I think the arts, film, photography, painting, serigraphs, are powerful means for giving expression to what's deep in our souls, what's deep in our hearts about our neighbor whom we all love. So art is a way of saying, love your neighbor, have mercy on those who are suffering, be kind to everybody, but mostly just love and express it, voice it, share it. I think if we all were apostles of love, this would be a better world.
I mean, that is, Lenore just preached the gospel, and I think that's, I mean, the only thing that I can add is more words from Corrida, because here's what she says: creativity belongs to the artist in each of us. To create means to relate. The root meaning of the word art is to fit together. Not all of us are painters, but we are all artists.
Yes, go ahead, Rosa.
In line with that, you know, the appreciation for all of the avenues of art, Corrida was wonderful. Filmmakers, I'm so happy that, I'm sad when our college closed, but I was so proud of the community to have waited and waited and waited until they were able to find the right place, and now it's the American Film Institute. I think that we're seeing that arts are the first ones that are attacked. We see the journalists, who in themselves are artists with what they write, being attacked. We see people on television and movies, the Stephen Colberts being attacked, because through their art, they're actually communicating great things. Today, back in 1975, Rod Serling died. People like Rod Serling, the authors of science fiction novels, of things like Animal Farm, all of them were telling us what could happen way back then. They are so important, very, very important. And so that appreciation for the arts, which our community still has, it's an important component to us. It's so important, it's so beautiful. I really wanted to share with you my granddaughter, when she went to she got into Immaculate Heart. We didn't think it would necessarily be the best thing. Her aunt didn't want to go there because she said, I don't want your friends coming and telling you what I'm doing. Oh, you silly girl. But my granddaughter's going there, and I kept thinking, I wonder if she's going to get the education she needs, because she's somewhat of a little rebel too. And one day I saw hanging 4 banners from the 2nd floor of one of the buildings. I don't remember what are on the first 3, but on the 4th one, it said, empowerment, not indoctrination. And in the park, where the people were being picked up, the girls are getting picked up, and you're trying to tell the car in front of you, will you move? In that area, I I saw at least one car with a bumper sticker, and it said, "May our daughters be ungovernable." That's art. It's important.
Excellent. Can we bring the lights up? And maybe, I think we have a microphone in the house. If anybody, Julia has a microphone. If anybody has a couple of questions, we would love to hear those now. Julia, go ahead.
Oh, hi, and thank you for this, to all of you. Quick question regarding funding. How difficult was it to seek funding? Because I did see one of them said, I think it was independent film on one of the, after the credits rolled?
Film Independent?
Oh, yes. Right.
Yes. We applied a project to Film Independent, which is an organization, actually LA-based organization that fosters and helps independent filmmakers. We applied, they have a program called Fast Track, where you can apply your project. They have it for both documentary and scripted film. You can apply your project, and then you don't get any funding, but you get to meet production companies, agents, sales representatives, and we did that. And through those meetings, we met one of our funders, and we also met our sales agent.
It was sort of a Frankenstein though of funding. It really was. It was like a combination of private donations. We were, you know, a write-off of 501c3, our film entity that owned our LLC, so you were able to write off any donations. So we had some private donations, but then a couple of bigger producer funds came in that really helped legitimize, you know, in the eyes of the film community, oh wow, they got a big tranche of money from Abigail Disney's company, you know, and then that opened the doors. And I will say that once we got into Sundance Film Festival, when it was announced that we were in, then there was a lot of grants that came in too. There were a lot of people who wanted to help make up, because it was another leap of faith where we didn't have the money to finish the film at that point. And we went into Sundance thinking, okay, we're gonna, you know, just the next step is this, and then we'll hope that the next step appears, and it did from that. So, yeah.
Yeah. And really quickly, one of the things that the film is available on HBO Max. So if you liked it and want to spread the word, it is available on HBO Max. And one of the amazing things that our very generous funders and our grants allowed us to do is to was really focused on educational outreach. And so a curriculum was made using the film, and the film is also, I believe is taught in schools and is available for educational purposes. And I think this is what I think we all, you know, with the Immaculate Heart tradition of education, I think really believe that this is hopefully becomes a tool for continuing education.
So if there is, you know, anybody in the audience who has an organization who would like to screen the film, etc., please get in touch with the Immaculate Heart team.
And maybe you'd stay for a few moments afterwards, because I think there are some folks who wants to have a reunion here today too. I think I'm getting the signal. Maybe one more question. How about that? Go ahead.
Hi. First of all, I'm really glad I had the opportunity to see this, and I thought you guys did a great job weaving both the documentary film as well as the animation and putting it together. One question comes to mind. Once the sisters became the community, how were they able to maintain the campus? I mean, did the church have control over them? Wouldn't they have been like, sorry, bye-bye? I mean, and obviously it was a value too when they sold it to AFI, but I just didn't kind of understand that component to it.
Do you remember that? How did the community sustain itself?
How did the community sustain itself? And since, you know, the school continue?
Yeah.
The campus.
Because the properties of the high school and the middle school, the high school, and the college stayed with the community.
The question is, how did you maintain it financially without the support of the church?
Well,
We
Is that the
don't
question?
currently own,
When you became, when the community became a community in the 70s.
Yes.
in the 70s, how did we maintain ourselves financially? Barely. We depended on community contributions, family contributions, fundraisers like raffle tickets and events. So we didn't have lavish, fundraisers and big dinners. We always have had faithful donors from small levels to a few major donors. So we've received grants in the past, but for educational purposes. So we've been on financial float, not wealthy, but not in poverty. And our members contribute. There are fewer than 100 of us, and each of us makes a monthly or yearly contribution to support the community. And there are a few grants that come in and a few events that bring in funds. So if you receive an invitation to participate in a fundraising event, we invite you to help us grow. Our goal is to sustain ministry, support members, and to preach the word, to spread the good news that we are alive, that God is alive, and that we all need to be faithful to a commitment to one another's well-being. So the community does have a national, global, local ministry of prayer. And so primarily we are spiritually motivated to pray for one another and for national and global issues. And prayer sustains us. Money helps, but prayer is really our driving force.
And I'd like to lift up that at the beginning, this community, and I wasn't with them, but I have heard and I've seen a lot of what held them up financially was the money that they themselves got. So it was not unheard of almost entire checks that they received working or however it was to go into the pot to sustain the rest of the sisters of the community. So Lenore's being very optimistic, saying barely, but they made it. Right now, those of us though, we're not nuns. So those of us that contribute, it pales into the amount of money that they contributed to make sure the community survived, because we're paying mortgages, we have kids, we have everyday expenses like everybody else, and we were never in convents.
And I would add, thank goodness, again, at the high school, they learned fundraising. And it was they were a force for good in fundraising. And I do want to acknowledge too, that incredible Carita Kent left her estate to the community. So that has continued to help. Isn't it lovely that she's having the last word that way? So on behalf of all of us, I want to say thank you all for being here today on behalf of the Ebell of LA, the Wilshire Ebell Theater. Thank you, Rosa, Lenore, Pedro, Kira, and all, Pam, Sherry, and everyone who's part of this extraordinary Los Angeles community and Immaculate Heart community. Thank you.